We're here. We're back. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm extremely excited about my next guest, the one, the only, MyGuyMars, one of the most accomplished people that I think I've had on the show. I mean, he knows it. He's repping. I mean, you've got straight up, like, what is it? 9 Grammy nominations, 5 wins. You've worked with literally the dream artists of all time. Some of those wins include obviously Stronger with Chris Brown. You've worked with Nipsey Hussle, Mary J. Blige, Snoop Dogg, T.I. Literally, it feels like I could spend a podcast talking about your accomplishments. I'm not going to do that other than to say it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And you also just released an album, Love on Mars. So for anyone who hasn't checked that out, make sure you check it out. But man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you come through.
Love, man. I appreciate it for real.
When someone lists accomplishments like that, well, how do you even fathom it? Like, because you're now in a strata of artists that is essentially minuscule. You're in like the 0.00% of artists in terms of what you've been able to achieve, the people you've been working with. Like, how does it feel when you take a moment to reflect?
Man, I mean, obviously it's a blessing, not to sound cliche, but it's really like, I'm reminded of how blessed I am when things like this happen, or, looking at when I'm reminded of other producers or other writers, other creators that, started even before me or started around the same time that, can't say the same thing as far as like, not even the accomplishments, but just them being sought after. It might have been a lot of stuff in the business that made them quit, or it might have been, a lot of just different variables, but, it's a blessing to still be sought after, for 20 years consistent, you know what I'm saying? So it's a blessing. I don't necessarily like think about it too much, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just so programmed and like used to working on the next 5 or 10 things. So, after I'm doing something, I'm already ready to do the next thing. It's like, oh, the song came out. Like, okay, cool. Like, people ask me about my project. Like, how's your project doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm working on the next 3. So like, I think it's cool sometimes to be able to stop and, smell the rose or 2, but I'm not as interested in smelling roses than planting them. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. But what do you think, like, what do you think is different about you versus, as you said, there are people that would have started before you started at the same time as you, but they're not able to have the same success. Like, have you thought about what is different about you versus other people who are obviously trying to achieve the very same things you're managing to achieve?
I haven't necessarily thought about what other people are doing because, I'm not too into comparing, but I like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be reminded of people that, I've worked with or, have been inspired by certain things like that. And, sometimes like, oh, what happened to, what I'm saying? What happened to this person? And, damn, man, that happened the other day. Like somebody was telling me about something, and I'm like, well, you talking about old boy from back in the day? She's like, what you mean back in the day? I'm like, well, I mean, like he was like doing stuff back in, like, what is he doing now? It's like, I'm glad that it's a blessing to be able to, be sought after and not have that problem. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, some people stop doing music and stop doing things for, various reasons, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't really know their situations, but that's exactly why I just focus on what I'm doing and trying to inspire the people that want to be inspired and that are passionate about what they, doing. They want to evolve their career and evolve their selves, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think you definitely do that. I think you definitely inspire people to keep going and achieve the things they want to achieve. I mean, the music industry to me is one of the hardest industries to be in. It's either, it's so cutthroat. You're either successful or you're not. People either like your art or they don't. And I think that in its essence is difficult for people to hold on to and understand, is like, maybe this isn't for you, especially hip hop, especially, you know, how competitive it is. Like, I think that's what always inspires me about people in your position and people who've done the things that you've done, is like, oh, you've managed to scale one of the hardest industries there is. And you seem so nonchalant about it. That's the other thing, is like, you're like, yeah, that's what it is. And then I keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, I think, again, like it's not even that I'm nonchalant. It's just that I'm so programmed to, I'll put it like this. When I first start making music, I never really like thought about artists. I just love creating music. You know what I'm saying? And by me just operating in my faith and in my gift, you know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. So it's like I was just operating in my gift, you know, and just doing what I'm supposed to do. As long as I showed up, God would keep presenting these opportunities. So after I had my own studio out of nowhere, after I started making beats and people start pulling up, it just turned into, man, you should start playing these beats for Snoop. You should start playing this for this person. And I just start seeing myself in different rooms from, you know, what I was doing. But I would get so excited because I never, you know, been in those, as you should. And, you know, was very harshly welcomed to the industry by being disappointed in all of the first 10 things that I did that I thought was going to come out that never came out. So I quickly had to tell myself, like, don't get excited about nothing. Just focus on the goal and just accomplish the goal. You know what I'm saying? If somebody snatch you out of what you're doing and be like, hey man, you did this and this is really incredible and it inspired me. And, you know, it changed my life and, you know, something like that. And then it's like, okay, that's confirmation, you know, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm operating in my purpose. But outside of that, it's just like, I'm focused on the goal. You know what I'm saying? Too many people spend a lot of time celebrating and then they'll end up losing. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just make sure I'm in the gym like I am now and just keep focusing on the goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think people are too focused on others? Because you're clearly not. But do you think that holds a lot of people back? Is they're too busy in the comparison game?
Absolutely. You don't have time to figure out who you are if you're trying to figure out who somebody else is. And you're losing the time figuring out, you know, like, I've been reading a lot, since Nipsey passed, like, you know, I'm not like physically buying books, but I've been like researching and listening to audiobooks and looking on different YouTube and stuff of books that Nip left around. And I heard something the other day and it said, if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's like, that's so real because like, if you're not inspiring somebody, or figuring out who you are and how you can contribute to the world or how you can give your best self to the world, then you're too busy figuring out what somebody else is doing and looking at what they're doing and it's distracting you from your purpose. Then you start wanting what they want. You try to, you know what I'm saying? You off track, like you're trying to figure out how to do something that somebody else is doing and that's their vision. That's their life. It's not your vision. It's not your life. So the more you waste time trying to, you know, figure out what somebody else is doing, it's like you're dying, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't have time. You can't get time back. We're literally dying every second, every day, you know what I'm saying? But in doing that, you have to either grow or continue to go. So I would rather grow, you know what I'm saying? I think it's so easy to be influenced by social media and all of that stuff. I went on a social media fast like 5 times. And people to the point where people are like, yo, why you keep unfollowing me and following me? It's like, I don't want to see stuff. I've been programmed to. So I know, like, you know, just being like, why I'm not doing this? Or why, oh, this looks fun and this looks out. Like, man, I just disconnected from everything and got back into like, why do I really do this? And what is my purpose and what is the goal? The goal is to be better, and purpose is to inspire, you know what I'm saying, to lead people to God, to make sure souls are saved, to make sure I heal people through music. And I feel like I've had a lot of confirmation to let me know that I've been doing that. So I have to continue to do it. You know what I mean? You just got to continue to do what's going to make you better and what's going to make the world better. So you can't do that by looking at what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. It's a difficult balance of celebrating and acknowledging your success, but also not letting it hold you back from future success. I personally definitely sit more in your camp where I'm like a big person of like, all right, I set a goal, I achieve the goal. All right, tick, next goal to achieve. And I find it difficult to celebrate something, especially after time passes, because you have changed over that time. So the project that you make or the goal that you've achieved, that takes time to do. You then do it, but then you don't just wait for it and you go like, okay, I'm just going to wait for 6 months and wait for the fruits of my labor. You're like, well, if that doesn't work, or now that I've done that, I'm just going to go do the next thing. And so then the plaudits and the praise are they're like praising an old version of you that isn't there anymore. It's like, and so it's hard to connect because you're not praising me now. You're praising me in the past, and I've already evolved and become different.
I mean, I understand and understand that perspective. For me personally, any praise, any acknowledgement, I'm grateful for it. I just want people to see, you know, God through what I'm doing and the intention in what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like reaching out and doing mentorships and doing beat battles and giving people opportunity, because I didn't have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to be better than those before me.
So you said earlier that you had an opportunity to go in with Snoop, and you said it off the cuff. How did that arise? Like, how did that happen? Because you're obviously working on your craft, you're doing your thing, you're just like focused on letting your natural artistry come out, and then you have opportunities to be in places with these artists, T.I. being another one of them. How does that start to happen for you? Do you know what the path was there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was my path. Of course I know the path. I'll tell you the literal thing, but I'll tell you, you know, what I've been telling a lot of artists and creators lately. Like, if you consider yourself any type of creator or any type of artist, and you decide to release a piece of art, make sure that you have at least 100 pieces of art. Because if that piece of art is amazing and people want it and you don't have nothing else, then you lost in the sauce. They're going to the next artist. So saying that to say, I was just in the studio working on music like I did every day. I was just making as much music, and then like I'm just playing different stuff. And I'm like, what is all this? This is crazy, bro. Like you should play this for Snoop. You know, one of the people that one of my homeboys, Jonathan Powell, he's one of the original members of 1500 and Nothing. He plays keyboard, so I was real cool with him. I used to just have him come by the studio, and long story short, he called one of his homeboys. You know what I'm saying? I played for Snoop. And, you know what I'm saying? We end up being homeboys, and that's just basically how it happened. I went to one of his Snoop rehearsals with him, and just kept being around and learning, looking at, you know, okay, don't do that. Seeing how other people getting cussed out, seeing what they doing wrong, and just taking notes, you know, and then eventually, you know, Snoop started taking a liking to the, you know, to me and my partner, Rance, because we were just making music together at that point. The Rance would come to my studio, and we just be making music, and then eventually I'll go to his, you know, years later I went to his studio, but that's how the whole thing happened. It's like I had to have the catalog, I had to have the music, you know, to display my gift and what I can do. And it wasn't like anybody else's, because I wasn't listening to the radio, I wasn't trying to be Timberland, it was a lot of things that's inspired by, when you first do something, of course you're gonna be inspired by artists. But, you know, eventually I started finding my sound, and eventually, you know, smoked some weed and start figuring out what the fuck, start getting high and seeing colors and all kind of shit. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I was able to convey how I felt, able to convey how other people felt, sonically. And once I was able to master that, it was easy to deliver what anybody asked for because I already like practically doing that every day.
What were the things you saw people getting cussed out for?
I mean, just like, random stuff. Like, you got to be present. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be on your job. Sometimes people, feel like, okay, oh, it's Snoop. I'm about to just go and smoke and just smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, you forget that you're here to do a job. So sometimes, people will be caught up smoking when they're supposed to be doing their job. And it's like, yo, why is this job not happening? And then you look and it's the guy that's smoking. Like, oh, yeah, you're definitely getting cussed out. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to be on top of my job. I'm going to be early. I'm going to go through the music, you know what I'm saying? And that allowed me to prepare, myself for those opportunities, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think people, like you said, they celebrate that they're even in the room.
Right.
That's too much of the I'm just happy to be here attitude, as opposed to I understand the opportunity in front of me. Like that's what that sounds like to me, is like I never thought I'd be in a room with Snoop Dogg. So instead of making the most of it, I'm just gonna have fun and enjoy it. And then all of a sudden they're never in that room again. And it literally is like that's it. That's as high as you got. You got to say, hey, I was in a room, and you're going to tell a story of how, I was there and like we were smoking weed, but this and this. And so whatever, we couldn't make it work. But like, that is as high as they got. They had that opportunity.
Right.
How does, you mentioned weed. How does weed affect your creativity? Like, what does it do for you?
Weed is wonderful. It like relaxes me. I feel like it just enhances like how I feel. And a lot of times it allows me to just focus on one thing. So like when I'm creating, it's easy for me to I always hear music, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm creating, or sometimes when I'm not creating, like I'll hear beats in my head. So like when I'm creating, it just helps with me like kind of shaping the melodies and the sounds that I get. I of course I can do it without the weed, but it's just a better experience, you know what I'm saying? And, feeling high while you're doing it, you know what I'm saying, it is amazing. Like it just feels amazing. So I think that's why I do it. That's why I have my own, you know what I'm saying? Marathon Store, My Guy, OG, and Spacewalker in store now.
Make sure you go get it. And do you ship it?
No. You have to come out here to the Marathon Store and you get mine on shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, real convenient for me here in Melbourne, Australia, to come out to LA. But I tell you what, when I'm around, I'll have to swing by.
Yeah, I got to come down under, you know what I'm saying? I got to come out there, come out to the Aussie vibes.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Australia?
What? Want a chip, bro?
God, that was an awful Australian accent. I gotta say, that was awful.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well,
plankton or something. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, man, I love Australia. Like Australia is probably like I would say like the fourth place I would move if I wanted to move somewhere.
What are the top three?
Atlanta, Vegas, maybe like Texas or Miami, and then Australia.
Well, we'll take it as number 2 spot because you already live in America. They're all American cities, so Australia would be the second place. Yeah. So I'm gonna take that as a huge win. But yeah, man, I mean, you can just do 6 months there, 6 months here. You can come for our summer, avoid your winter, And just, but then again, LA is pretty much hot all the time. So I don't know if that really works as much.
And all right, you know, it's been storming for like the last month or so. It's been raining like crazy. But you know, it's cool. But yeah, I love Australia, man. I love Australia.
Yeah. Do you have plans to come down, do a tour at some point?
Not like right now, but I would love to come out there. I mean, it's I'm able to set that up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, have your people call my people and let's figure something out.
Hey, yeah, for sure. I mean, Taylor Swift is here right now, and I tell you what, it is insanity what is happening with her. It's like everyone is clamoring for tickets. The hype is, I always knew Taylor Swift was big. I never thought she was that big. Like, she's disrupted everything. It's wild. I think there are very few artists who have that effect. I mean, Kanye being one of them, who literally, they're in town and everyone stops what they're doing. They literally don't give a shit about their work, their jobs, their relationships. They're like, I'm getting tickets and I'm flying to go see this person. I'm going to spend thousands of dollars to go do it. Like,
What?
it is wild, the impact of music on people. Like, it is just genuinely transcending of anything else.
It's amazing, man. It's great to be a part of it. You know,
Yeah.
but
Can you tell me about your music collective, 1500 or Nothing? As soon as I read it, I was like, I am so intrigued as to what this involves and entails.
so you don't know about 1500 or Nothing.
Well, I inherently decided to stay blind so that I could ask you and be genuinely interested.
That's amazing. All right, so 1500 or Nothing is a band that I started with my friends. We all started together. Uncle Chuck, rest in peace, Bam, Jonathan Powell, who I mentioned earlier, Lawrence, myself, Los eventually started playing for us, rest in peace. And we started as a band. We were playing in church, and we basically had a showcase for Bobby Valentino to do his dip. And when we did that showcase, we didn't really think of a name for our band and nothing. We were just, about to go get this $1,500. It was $1,500. But we got done doing the showcase. They're like, man, we loved it. They loved the label, loved it, everything. They're like, how much, we like $1,500. So they're like, well, how do you want to make out the check? Do you want to cash or check or whatever? And my homeboy Chuck was like, hey, cuz it's $1,500 or nothing. And like when he was saying, like, do you want the check or the cash? He like you want check, cash? And he was like, well, what's the name of the band? But he said at the same time, he's like, what's the name of the band? He's like, $1,500 or nothing. And he was like, oh, that's a dope name. He was like, and that's how much y'all want? I'm like, we like just looking like, yeah. So we just kept the name and just started going by 1500 or Nothing. And as a band, our first placement was Show Me What You Got by Jay-Z. And I think that was very disruptive at the time because there wasn't any music that had like a live band playing, and you know what I'm saying? So to have that and then to turn it to like Budweiser commercial and turn it to like Lil Wayne did a remix to it, like it just was going crazy. So shout out to Just Blaze bringing us in on that. And then we just kept moving as a band. And then me and my partner Lawrence, we started producing under the name 1500 or Nothing. So that's kind of how we started building the name and building the brand. And now it's somewhat of a household name, whether you know it or not. You've heard some songs that simple. That's like scope.
Yeah. It's funny. As soon as someone's like 1500, I was like, damn, we should have called it 3000 or Nothing, double the money. See if we...
People tried to do that. And they weren't really successful. I mean, in both ways. Like, some people tried to start groups and, have their name be a number, and, we wasn't going for us. We wasn't going for it. Some of us was a lot more adamant than others and shut it down. But needless to say, I think we're the only like numbered band that like really came from like literally the price of what we was charging to being like household name, having a school, like, working with all these artists and having Jay-Z tell the world on stage, like, I'll put this band on up against anybody in the world. Like, I was on the stage when he said that. So Jay-Z said it, you go argue with Jay-Z.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to argue with Jay-Z. That sounds like a difficult argument to win, but I think it works because it was so organic, because it wasn't like pre-planned. It just happened. Absolutely. And like you said, with like the way the universe works and the way things happen, it's almost like the things you plan are difficult to manifest, and then you have to almost walk through the doors that open at the right time, and you never know when they will open, but they just do. And if you take that opportunity at the right time, then it just manifests itself. I'm a big believer in that. Like, you help by putting in the work, but you just never know which door will open, and it's your job to make sure you walk through that door, because if it closes, you'll never be able to walk through it again.
Right. Yes, sir.
And then next thing you know, you're on stage and Jay-Z is bigging you up, and then everything continues to take off. Like, when he said that live, what was the experience? Where were you sitting? What was your experience of him saying that live? Like, what was that like?
I definitely was not sitting. I was standing at the keyboard. I was playing all the keyboards. I think I had 4 or 5. I might have had 5 keyboards. And I was playing the keyboards, and, I'm just playing a song. People that know me as a performer, when I used to play for different artists, like, I'm a real performer. So I'll be, dancing and doing all the shit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm into the song playing, and he said that, and I'm like, wait, did I hear him just say it? Then I like looked to everybody else, like, did y'all hear him say that? And then everybody looked, I'm like, that's crazy. And I knew it was filmed because, it was for the B-side show. So I'm like, oh, this is crazy. This is actually like documented. Like, yeah, that was a blessing.
Yeah. It's funny that you literally had to stop. Like, you were in the middle and then you were like, hold up. Wait, did I just hear what I think I heard?
Well, facts. Because, that's crazy for him to say. He's never said that about no other thing. Like, he's played with the Roots, he played with Linkin Park, he's been album with, different bands. So, that was a memorable moment.
What is he like as a person? I spoke to Malik Yusuf, who has worked with him and Kanye.
That's my guy.
Yeah, amazing person. I'm very lucky to have spoken with him as well. But what is your experience working with people like that and working with Jay?
It's very seamless. When you work with professionals, especially people that have been doing it way longer than you have, they get to a certain level of professionalism to where it's just autopilot, So, of course, we're gonna be rehearsing at least 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that, before Jay walked in. And when he walks in, everything has to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we're enlisted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you start there, but then you figure out what the artist wants, how they want certain things, you go over those things, and then once you execute those things, you might put a little icing on it, or, depending on what the artist like, and then it's just seamless, But yeah, he's very like professional. Is very cool. The first thing he said when he walked in rehearsal was like, we was playing a song. We was in the middle of playing, and he walked in and he started like bobbing his head. And then we got done with the song, and it was like super quiet. He was like, "Yeah, I know I caught the right. I know I caught the right people." you know what I'm saying? But it meant so much, like, you know what I'm saying? Because he don't really talk a lot, you know, so uh, yeah. And then another thing that was dope, like we had rehearsal. I think it was the finals, yeah, it was the finals for, I don't know if it was, I don't know. It was like whatever year that was. It was the finals. It was some basketball. We wanted to watch the finals, and the day of rehearsal was like one of the days of the game. So everybody was like had their phone and they, you know, their iPads and stuff. So when Jay walked in, we, you know, kind of like put everything to, you know, to the side, put everything down, and then like on the breaks we'll be, you know, watching things. So on the first break we was watching, you know, TV. Jay didn't say nothing. And they, you know, asked what we wanted to eat. We got everything, you know, eat whatever. And then the second break, by the time the second break came on, we was in the middle of a song and they wheeled in like 5 big screen TVs.
Wow.
They wheeled them in front of us so we could, and then like we got on break. And he was like, oh yeah, I just got these just in case y'all wanted to watch the game. I know y'all trying to watch the game. So it was like, damn, this nigga is nice as hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anybody comes up, come on, let's do it again from the top. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, off your phone, you know. So yeah, he's super dope, man. He's dope to work with, and you know, professional super from my experience. You know,
It's funny because that is like, that has nothing to do with that much. It's just him being observant and seeing what is important to you, and he just went out of his way to like make your experience significantly better. And I'm sure he probably doesn't think about it, but to you it resonates that it's like those are things that no one has to do, but he just picked up the phone and was like, let's do it. And I think that is the lesson of life in a way. It's the things that almost, if you pay attention, it's the little things to others that matter, that will stay in their mind and that will ultimately make them remember how you made them feel, because that is such an amazing gesture. He doesn't have to do that at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just from what I've heard, he's an amazing person to be in the room with. I mean, Malik did say, I'm going to say, don't quote me on this, but he did say that he asked Jay whether he was like Batman or Superman, because it seems to come so naturally. And he was just like, Superman. Like it just comes, like it feels instinctive is the way he described it. It just feels like it just comes to him. He gets it. And obviously he's been doing it for a long time, so that helps. But that is the aura he has in the studio.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It makes me wonder what your aura is in the studio and like what energy you give off.
This right here, this the same guy. Yeah, it's fine. Energy I give in the studio. I guess it depends on what type of hat I'm wearing. Like if I'm producing, you know, it's pretty much it just pretty much flows. As far as like me recording, I'm very like production oriented when I'm recording, you know, because I'm naturally a producer. So I'm like, I just like shit to move fast, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't really like being in the booth for a long time. I have to have a great engineer that's, you know, like up to speed and really know how to, you know what I'm saying, know what they're doing. Outside of that, I'm cool. But if it's like a beginner or somebody, you know, that's just trying to figure it out and like, you know, he might not have the greatest experience with me, you know, or I might not finish the song, or I might just, but yeah, outside of that, it's all wonderful. It's always, you know, making music, making sure that, we create the songs and fulfill the responsibility of like coding the culture and continuing to push the culture, you know, while we're conveying how people feel, conveying how we feel, and writing songs for people that can't write those songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking about things that everybody go through, you know, where you can heal people through music. You know what I'm saying? I think that's more important. It's amazing to have, you know, bedroom songs and the fun songs and stuff like that, you know, the take you downs and the stars and, you know, but, you know, that it's like the dedications that mean a lot more, you know what I'm saying? Because those songs are the songs that people need to get through the day, to get through this problem, to, you know what I'm saying, get over a breakup, to get over a heartbreak, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm a lot more intentional when it comes to music. And I feel like it just kind of flows when artists are open to receive that. Outside of that, it's going to be a conversation where I'm, you know, this is why you should listen to me, and you see why, you know, I feel this way. Even though art is subjective, I feel like, you know, with there's some type of reason why people keep calling me. So maybe let's implement the knowledge I have into what you're trying to do, and then come to it. I believe it. You know what I'm saying?
You just have high standards. Like, you just know, I mean, after you've been doing it for as long as you've been doing it, at the level you've been doing it, it would be weird for you to compromise on your standards.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it would be. And there's another aspect of it that, you know, I was talking to Tank the other day, and we was talking about the same thing, and I'm like, yo, I don't know how to, or I haven't learned yet how to compartmentalize things to where it's like, oh, this is just, you know, some cool music. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either great or bad to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like you thumbs up or thumbs down. Like, either you like it or you don't. For the most part, if you're a consumer, you listening to something, you don't think about what's going into it, the conversation in the studio, none of that. You just playing what's on the new thing, play it, you like it. Oh, this got a cool beat. Oh, this got a cool vibe. All right, cool. Who is this? You know what I'm saying? That's the majority of the time. That's how we consume music. So it's like, it would be advantageous to apply the things that work. And it's like strategically, you know what I'm saying? It's musical strategic, you know, musical strategies and musical formulas that have been done since the beginning of time. It's the same scales. It's the same, you know, 11, 12 notes, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like knowing how to educate yourself on things that have been at the best quality, things that have been successful, the people that have been doing it. I, you know, studied Quincy Jones, I studied Dr. Dre, I studied people that have longevity and that are the greatest, you know, people to do it, you know. And then in addition to that, you know, to study like the greatest mind. I studied the greatest minds, you know what I'm saying? Like, just see how different people think different, and you can understand humans better and understand how to talk to people, understand how to, or, you know, disagree and just understand that it's cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything not have to be a fight. So it's a lot of things that I've learned just maturing and like making sure that I'm implementing those strategies and, you know, different concepts that I've obtained and have learned into my music, as well as the artists and people that I work with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you, man. I think people do respond to like good music, and there is so much music out that there's a body of work of like the people who've done it successfully over a period of time. And I think you ignoring that makes you silly and a bit ignorant, because you could choose to learn or you choose to not. And then once you know, it's like, why would you not apply the principles you know? That's you shooting yourself in the foot intentionally. That's like, I've learned this and I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that makes no sense to me. But I will say, for me, there's the two categories of good, bad, but then there's like background music. So I'm like, would I listen to this proactively? Yes or no? And then it's like, if it's not a no, but it's not a yes, it's like, I could have this in the background and not focus on it. That's my like third category of music where I'm like, I'm not going to save this, but if it came on, I wouldn't be upset. It would just be in the background. I wouldn't really acknowledge it.
And that's what Tank was saying. It's still art, you know, just because you don't like it, or just because it's not at your standard, or just because everybody can't paint a Picasso doesn't mean it's not 30,000 of these little pictures with a dog in the field just being sold every day. You know what I'm saying? Just because people are like, oh, the dog looks so cute, or whatever they like about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't force people to love great, you know, great art. And at the same time, art is subjective. So just because it's great to you doesn't mean it's great to somebody else. Then, you know, some people hate hip hop. They don't even listen to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? There are people that don't listen to hip hop. There are people that only listen to rock and only listen to disco or only listen to grind. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a market for everything. You just have to make the art and put it out. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, if somebody's coming into my art studio, this is the art that we make here. So if you want to make some art with me, this is how we're gonna go about making it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how I operate. And that's why I'm very selective with who I work with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to understand art if you don't understand the genre of art it's in. Like, I personally don't listen to like heavy metal rock. I don't understand it. I don't really know a lot about it. So when I listen to it, it's hard for me to decipher what's good about it versus what's bad about it. So my ear isn't attuned. It's the same as seeing a particular artist or a particular style of painting. If you haven't seen it before, you haven't learnt about the theory behind it, you haven't been able to appreciate it, it's hard to know what it is you're looking at. Same way with music, it's hard to know what I'm listening to.
Yeah, you're right. We still have the innate good or bad. So it's like, with listening, if you go in your car or after this interview, if you go to Tidal and you type in rage, like rage music or something like that, and then you just go listen to the first 5 songs. If you don't understand the first 5 songs and you never liked it, you never, you know, heard of it, you don't know what this is, something innate will tell you if you like or don't like one of those 5 songs. You'll be able to say, well, 2 is in one of those categories. Like, even if it's the background category, if it's the background category, that means you liked it. You know what I'm saying? Because you never even heard it before. So that's why it's like, yeah, it's great for people to put art out, but it's great for you to know what you're doing. Is, you know, we're both saying at the same time, like, educate yourself so you're not just like throwing some paint on something and just like, well, I'm an artist, check out what I did. No, and that luckily a lot of times is something that will go viral. And then it's like, you don't know what you did. You just did something and now you can't recreate it because you're not educated to, you know, consistently produce the same type of art. You know what I'm saying? Or even allow it to evolve from the foundation, because you don't have no foundation. You're just doing shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, shit is crazy.
I have spoken to a few people about where they got their foundational knowledge. And a lot of people have said it's come from church. It's come from listening to gospel music and then being in choirs and learning instruments. How did you find that in your life as well, of that being a profound impact, not only on yourself, but on a lot of people within the industry?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. My dad is a bishop, so I grew up in church. So that's my whole foundation. So yeah, my spirituality, my faith, my musical intellect, you know what I'm saying, my gift, me honing my gift, me practicing everything I learned is in church. How to play the drums, how to play the keyboard, how to play the bass. All the instruments was there all the time. I'm listening to choirs every day. I'm hearing harmonies and learning notes. I'm in choir rehearsal, so I'm going through a school of every facet of production musically in church. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that background, and it's easy for you to quickly mess up. You know what I'm saying? Quickly do all the things, like fuck up and fail and do all the shit that you need to do so you can figure out how to be better. And then, you just going through school and being better, being better. Like the spiritual school, you know what I'm saying? The church is, you know what I'm saying? So musically, like, you are fortunate enough to have, a great, my dad was a bishop, but he also had an album, you know what I'm saying? And he was a songwriter and musician. So I was fortunate enough to have somebody that played the keyboard around the house and played the piano with the piano at the house. And, you know what I mean? So I heard music all the time. So it was just inevitable for me to be able to apply all the things that I've learned into, what I wanted to do, which is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it is interesting because I have thought about, if the church wasn't a thing, what that would mean for most artists who became who they became. And part of me is like, they probably wouldn't become who they became.
Nope. More than likely not, or not even be here. You know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of us, music has been the therapeutic escape, you know what I'm saying? And the literal escape too. Some people literally transform their lives, because, they believed in music, believed in themselves enough to be around. Like Nip was somebody that transformed his life, with music. And I remember having a conversation, where we was like basically telling them, like, there has to be some type of, like, you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, it got to be 100%. You already did what you was doing 100%. We know what's going to result from it. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's do this music and put 110% in it. Yeah. He would be around. He'd come to the studio, listening. Sometimes you're not even rapping, you're just coming to just to learn, coming to meetings. Like, he really wanted to be who he became. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to put in the work and educate yourself. But yeah, that comes from foundation. You have to build a foundation.
It's pretty amazing to think about, and it's amazing, but it's sad to think about how much further he could have gone in terms of how much potential was left on the table, because it almost felt like he was tapping in, he was beginning to show it, but he had so much more to potentially give. It's like, I find it weird in hip hop, there's a lot of those stories where I'm like, they were taken early from us.
Yep. A lot of the best of them, have been taken early. I don't question God, the way, things happen. Of course, he's terrible. My thing is, like, my thing is, the only thing I can do is just continue my contribution, you know what I'm saying, which was being his producer and carrying on all of the things that I seen that, he was executing or that he wanted to execute, you know what I'm saying? That's how you carry the baton, you know what I'm saying? That's how the marathon continues. You continue to operate in the spirit of that person, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, of course, like, he said a lot of stuff that he wanted to do, which was even more incredible because it's documented, all the things that he said he wanted to do, you know what I'm saying? Which again goes back to you having to have a plan, the foundation, all Like, so either moment, it's it's really dope. I'm just glad that I was able to have all the experiences, all the memories. He had his own band, well, first and last band, and just having a relationship as a friend, as a brother, as a producer, artist relationship, and just being able to have those memories. You know what I'm saying? Like, like now be a part of something that's historic. You know what I'm saying? Which is like not only his legacy, but him actually putting out the album that he wanted to put out. Him actually having a feature with Jay-Z that he wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that he wanted to get a plaque. So I made sure that I got the victory, like plaque. You know what I'm saying? So it was certain things that he wanted to accomplish that he did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about that, and I just operate in that spirit to keep things progressing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and your attitude and your positivity is refreshing.
Yeah, no, we gotta be, man. There's too much fucked up shit out here in the world.
Yeah. Hey, I agree with you. But yeah, I think, when you talk about that and when you talk about Nipsey and you talk about you continuing, I think a lot of people go through loss and they go through losing someone important and special. And I think a lot of them feel lost. They don't know how to pick themselves up. They don't know, because it's world shattering. It's like someone I'm used to calling on the phone on a regular basis, someone I remember having their energy in the room with me. I remember, and I've got photos, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and they don't know how to move forward. And I think, your reflection on how you carry the legacy forward is extremely helpful for a lot of people.
Love, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate it, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just thankful that you're around, you're making music, that you're continuing to impact a lot of people and impact just their day-to-day lives. I think it's hard to almost grasp how much impact you have on people, because there are people you don't even know that listen to your music.
It's a blessing, man. It's amazing. That's why I want to just keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have a vision for what's next? Obviously, you just released your album that came out, but what is in the project? I know you said at the beginning, you were like, hey, by the time I release a project, I got like 3, 6, 9 things that I'm doing. So what is on the cards for you?
I had a few projects that I wanted to wrap up by the end of the year, which I did. So I started a candle line called Love Flames, and basically it's a very luxurious candle with blue roses, Malaysian blue roses. The scent is incredible, and then it is, you can get the normal candle, or you can get the sound scent candle, which is like, buy the candle and it has music that I produced exclusively for the candle. So you can get a QR code.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is such a good idea.
So you get a link to the music, and you're able to just, enjoy the music. Only you and 50 other people have it. It's a collector's item. And so I started that. And then I solidified this partnership with the Bride's wine. It's a wine that I just partnered with. Honestly, I can have it right here. Taking a little bit early. The Bride's wine, it's almost gone, but
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, you have the groom's wine, the Bride's wine, and the gilded. And it's, like the set of 3, to celebrate love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can get that at wineandbuy.com. So those were the 2 things I closed out. As far as music, I wanted to do Love on Mars, got that out the way. I'm about to release the beat project. That's one of the three things I was talking about. A lo-fi beat, the instrumental project, space criminals. And then I'm going to release another project, like a rap project. Then I'm going to release another project that's like some 80s shit. Then I got another project called I Love Church Girls. And then I think that's enough for just kind of telling you like the scope of the next. I think that was like 3 or 4. So yeah, those are like the 4 things that,
because it was funny. You were like, I've got like, 1 or 2. And then you started listing all the things and it was like, hold on, I'm losing count. There's so many things that you're doing, man. Like,
wow. And that's just, me as an artist. I'm not really producing too much for different, other artists outside of like my friends and people that I really like working with. Maya obviously is my partner. So, we're working on something that's really incredible. We just released a song on Valentine's Day. Go check that out. And the working with TJ Moses, a lot of other people I've been working with, but I've been mainly working on my own artistry and just trying to get better as an artist and songwriter.
Well, man, I'm sure it's going to continue, and I have no doubt. For anyone who isn't sold, that candle sounds dope. Get the limited edition with the music as well. You said 50, right? There's only 50 of those?
Yeah. Well, it might be like 30 something now.
Well, they gotta get onto it before it runs out, my friend. But I only have one more question for you. It's the only question that I plan on the show. It's probably the hardest question I'm gonna ask, especially someone who has studied music and has been in the industry for such a long time. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of, can be any genre of music, cannot be your own music, what would it be?
Probably Songs in the Key of Life. Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder.
Why that project?
Because it's range. I feel like it's a perfect album. Like it's not one sound the whole way through. It's not one subject matter, what I'm saying, per se. Of course, a lot of it is talking about God for the most part, on your love. Well, love is God. A lot of it is talking about love for the most part, but just the musicality and the approach that he took as an artist as well as a producer is just very unique, and just it wasn't heard of like at that time. It was very disruptive. I used to listen to that album walking to school every day, and it like really changed like my whole world. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I didn't even know you could do this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would suggest listening to, just kind of dissecting and listening to how he approached it. In addition to him being blind and being able to write songs that change the world about stuff that he's never seen is just incredible. So yeah, I would say Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder for sure.
Well, I love that suggestion. I love that recommendation. You're the only one who's mentioned Stevie Wonder so far. So you're the first. So man, I think that's a huge notch. You heard it here first from MyGuyMars.
Yes.
Make sure you check him out. As we said, he just dropped a project. Love on Mars came out. He's got the singles. He's got So Fine, Too Selfish. He's not going to be just having those projects. So get onto him now, because if you wait, you're going to have a lot of homework to be doing. It's super exciting, man. You're one of the people who is literally impacting so many people's lives. And I know that it's important when I have people like you on my show to show some love and show some appreciation, because you genuinely do positively impact the culture. You positively impact so many people. And for me personally, it's just an absolute honor and a pleasure to be able to talk to you and get inside behind the music and understand you a little bit more.
Man, I am humbly grateful, my guy. I appreciate it, for real.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to shout out, plug, anything like that?
No, man. God loves you. I do too. MyGuyMars.com, MyGuyMars on Instagram, MyGuyMars, everything, everywhere. All one word.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man.
It's all love, man. Appreciate you.